So I had to complete the workplace harassment training at my job, and it actually harassed me, believe it or not. So this whole harassment stuff is getting to the point where it's just woke ideology. I'm not joking. The trans ideology is part of this now. Those of you out there who are progressives may be like, what are you talking about trans ideology? There's no such thing as a trans ideology. There are trans people, there are non-binary people, etc., blah, blah, blah. Look, if you are trans, if you feel like you are in the wrong body, you can go ahead and change your body when you're an adult. But the notion that doctors assign you a gender at birth is trans ideology. Okay? You do not feel like you're in the wrong body. I can tell you that you do not feel like you're in the wrong body because I do not feel like I'm in a male body. I do not feel like I'm in a female body. I do not feel like I'm in a non-binary body. I imagine that I actually do feel like I am in a male body because I am male. But I don't know what that feels like because I've never had any other experience. So stop being insane. Now, before we get started, I do want to thank everybody for stopping by and supporting my work. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Remember to make sure that you're still subscribed because YouTube does unsubscribe people every single day. You can find me on BitChute, Odyssey, Twitter or X, and Rumble. Now we're going to get into some of this harassment training that I had to go through. It is going to be eye-opening, I think, to some of you. And you're going to see it is woke ideology. It's crazy. So let's take a look at sex, gender identity, and discrimination against transgender and non-binary people, because those are things that exist. I mean, they are, obviously. There are people who are transgender. There's nobody that's non-binary. But the transgender people are not actually transgender. We've talked about this plenty of times. It's still not yet determined that it's an actual thing, and it doesn't seem like it ever will be because it's not an actual thing. So this will be maybe shocking to some of you out there, but in the law, the terms sex and gender are often used interchangeably. However, let's go into more detail about each term so that you understand how this type of discrimination occurs. Cisgender, transgender, non-binary. Doctors assign babies a sex/gender at birth, typically by looking at the baby's anatomy. They do not assign, they make assumptions about what the baby is by looking at their anatomy. Sometimes those assumptions are wrong, but those are very rare cases. It's really obvious to look down and go, okay, well, they have an inside. Okay, well, they have an external one. Okay, we're going to assume that this person is the majority of the people who have an inside or have an external. And guess what? Doctors are right 99+% of the time. So this whole assigned garbage at birth is BS. It's not an assigned, it's an assumption. And it's a pretty damn good one. Some children grow up and match these expectations and are called cisgender. No, that's actually an insult. Stop calling me a sissy. Transgender people have an assigned birth sex/gender that does not match their actual gender identity. There's no such thing as an actual gender identity. Your gender identity is what you have between your legs, your gamete size, actually. That's what it boils down to. These people are this is legal binding documents. So, I mean, garbage. Not this particular, but this is in reference to legal binding documents. Supposedly. I mean, I've challenged my workplace on these garbage before, and like, our lawyers say it's fine. I'm like, yeah, you need to get better lawyers because I'm going to come after you if you don't stop it. And I will destroy them because I'm smarter than, I've argued judges and lawyers, so what the hell? It's also possible for someone to grow up and feel like neither a man nor a woman. Really? Explain to me how that works, because I have no idea what it feels like to feel like a man. And I am a man. I don't know. I could not begin to tell you what it feels like to be a man because I don't have any frame of reference. So these people will think, oh, I don't feel like either one. Yeah, you do. But you're not going to know that because you just have no way of referring to the opposite gender. The umbrella term for this is non-binary and includes many different genders. No, it doesn't. There's no such thing as non-binary. Shut up. You're stupid. Choosing medical treatment. If a person's body does not align with their gender identity, they may choose to undergo medical treatment such as hormone therapy or gender-affirming surgery, but keep in mind that not all trans or non-binary people want this, and not everyone who wants it can access this kind of treatment. So I can just go say, hey, look, I'm female. I can just do it tomorrow and not change a thing about me, except demand that everybody understand that I'm a female or non-binary. Workplace harassment. About 90% of transgender or non-binary people have experienced some kind of workplace harassment or mistreatment. About 25% have lost a job because of bias. No, they haven't. Bathroom harassment is a form of discrimination that may be experienced by transgender nonconforming and cisgender people who don't fit stereotypical ideas related to their gender presentation. Because we can't have a million different bathrooms for a million different people because there's not a million different genders. There's two. You might want to say colloquially there's four because you got trans and you got hermaphrodites. But I mean, you're not I've already talked about this in a previous video. Okay, let's assume that you're one of the many myriad of people who does not fit into the binary. Please explain to me how it is that your gender works then if you are not a male or female. How does the reproduction works? Because that's what this is all about. Say, oh, no, it's not. It's about my gender expressions. No, it's okay, so that's your style. It has something to do with me calling you a he or a she. So you are either a he or a she based on your gamete size. So tell me what one you are and how you outwardly present. Yes, there are chimeras. Okay, so they still outwardly present as one or the other. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if somebody is convincingly a female, but they were born a male, I'm just going to be like, oh, hey, how are you doing? Nice to meet you, her. Refer to that person as a female because I wouldn't know the difference. The same thing if they were a male who had been born as a female, but they don't show any signs of femininity. So ridiculous. This is so freaking ridiculous. And this is how I have to behave while I'm at work or else I can lose my job. No. How to help? Everyone can help to create a positive environment for people who are transgender, non-binary, or gender non-conforming. For instance, make sure you use people's names and the pronouns they use for themselves. No, I'm not using your pronouns. You don't get your own language. This is not me conforming to your idea of what is correct speech. I speak the way that I want to speak. You all can shut up and suck it for all I care. And speak up when you hear inappropriate remarks or misgendering, even if that person isn't around. Treat everyone as a full, unique individual. Every person's experience is different. Okay, I'm going to treat everybody as a unique individual. You're right, I'm going to do that. But I'm not going to use your language. I'm using my language. I'm using the English language, which is the correct language that we're supposed to use in this country. So I need to start that with me. And that was sex, gender identity, and discrimination against transgender and non-binary people. It's crazy. Freaking insanity. So here's another one where they're talking about intersectional harassment. And they say family and religion. Muslim women, especially those who wear hijab, report being questioned about their intentions with regard to marriage and children. While this does happen to many women, it is more common for Muslim women because employers assume that they'll leave employment soon after they're married. Yeah, so how is this harassment? I mean, seriously, it's so ridiculous to sit here and go, I'm going to hire this person, but I don't know, she's pretty cute, so she's probably got a boyfriend and probably going to get married soon and then have kids and then not want to work anymore. It's kind of important for an employer to know that stuff, right? You're not even allowed to ask, no, that's harassment. I mean, screw you guys. This is so stupid. The things that people consider harassment these days. You're not allowed to know about a person's intentions. No, their intention is to work for you. And if they want to work for you for one day and then leave, that's fine. They can do that. Like, this is so stupid. How can anybody plan a business around this garbage? It's ridiculous. Look, it even has the word Latinx in it because so many Hispanic people really appreciate being called Latinx. So stupid. Look, we have one here that is an example of harassment that, I mean, it's just the worst. Look at this right here. What are you? A biracial employee is asked about her ethnic heritage far more often than her white colleagues are. It's terrible. It's the worst thing ever. So horrifying. Especially considering like maybe the person exhibits like a difference in their culture. I mean, if they're dressing a way that is like maybe represents their non-American side, if they have a non-American side, or if they're just completely non-American in general, whatever. You're gonna wonder about that. It's not harassment to wonder about somebody's background and go, hey, I noticed you're a little bit different. Where are you from? That's not harassment. Because we can assume that like a lot of Americans don't know their European ancestry. They just don't. They don't care. That's why Ancestry.com is such a big deal. Ancestry.com and 23andMe and all those things that's how these companies make money, is because so many white people in the United States and Canada don't know their ancestry. They don't know their European heritage. So that's why we don't, I mean, it's not a harassment thing to think that way, because that is just a normal way of being in Canada and America, the United States. Ridiculous. So this whole thing keeps telling me that I need to intervene if I see somebody mistreating somebody else at my workplace, like just by saying something. Oh, they said that you have a cute baby, that mixed race babies are so cute. That's harassment because, oh my gosh, I'm talking about somebody's race. So I have to step up and say something. How dare you say something about them having mixed race babies? Freaking, I am not the police. I do not care what people say to each other because I am not a freaking psychopath. But here we have the bystander effect. The more people who witness an incident, the less likely it is that someone will intervene. That's the power of the bystander effect. It can happen for a few reasons. Number one, observing people who witness an incident but do not intervene can cause someone to assume that the behavior is acceptable and they're the only one who is uncomfortable. That's probably true in most cases. I mean, sorry, unless you're committing violence, if you're using words, if you're saying something to somebody and you're not like directly insulting them, saying like you're stupid, you're ugly, whatever, okay, something that's obvious, then I don't freaking care what you say to them. We have freedom of speech in this country. And I'm sorry, if you have a problem with it, you go to HR. I'm not here to police people. What the hell's wrong with you people? Reason number 2, when many people observe a potentially harmful or unprofessional situation, individuals feel less personally responsible to intervene. They may assume that with so many people around, surely someone else will help. Yeah, that's a typical problem. That was something that we talked about when I was studying psychology at community college. The Kitty Genovese incident where she was violated and then subsequently ended in an alleyway in New York City, I believe it was. And they're like, yeah, nobody called the police because everybody just assumed that some other person was going to call the police, even though hundreds of people witnessed the incident. And that's not true, though, because lots of people called the police, apparently. Like, in reality, there are dozens of calls to the police regarding the situation, so ridiculous. But the thing is you're talking about words. Like I said, you're talking about words. Unless you're being directly insulting, like there's no question you're being insulting to somebody, then I don't care. Just go ahead and say whatever you're going to say. If the person doesn't like it, they can say, hey, look, I feel that is a direct comment on my immutable characteristics and that you would be directly a threat to me or indirectly a threat to me at some point in the future because you're focusing on my physical characteristics. But I say this, please focus on my physical characteristics. I appreciate being an individual and being seen as an individual based on my physicality. So screw you guys. That's the way I want to be treated. And reason number 3, bystanders often wait in confusion to see if someone else will intervene. This is a natural response, but it doesn't mean the impacted person doesn't need help. Yeah, okay, so this is an issue right here. If you want people to step up and be assertive, guess what you got to stop doing? You got to stop feminizing men. You got to stop treating men as if they are defective women. You got to stop telling men to sit down, shut up, and listen to their betters, which are all female. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No, there's no such thing as male and female. Got to be non-binary now. Whatever the hell. So ridiculous. These problems all get solved. All 100% get solved if we put women back into the home to take care of the children where they belong. So here's a little scenario that they have set up to quiz me. Pretty and Chet are both new hires. During a meeting, Pretty overhears Chet, who is 30, meeting a colleague in their late 60s for the first time. Chet is talking to the older colleague using slow, non-technical language as if the older employee is altogether new to the workplace. Pretty wants to say something, but her mentor is in the room too. So my options are, it says, what should she do? My options are, ignore it. Pretty doesn't know how her mentor will interpret her intervention. Will she be seen as a troublemaker or embarrass herself? Better to leave it to other people who have been there longer. That's the right thing to do, Pretty. You don't know anything is going on at this new company. Just like Chet doesn't know anything and he's supposedly making mistakes because he's new. So Pretty's going to step in and also then make mistakes because this is so ridiculous. Now the correct answer, of course, is say something. Maybe it'll be uncomfortable, but it's the right thing to do. And wouldn't any reasonable mentor be supportive? You're not vigilante justice here. You're not Batman, or in this case, Batwoman, Batgirl. You're not Spider-Girl, Spider-Gwen, whatever. You're not a hero. You're not the hero of the day. You're not supposed to step into my business. If I don't like the way this guy's talking to me, I'll say something. Okay? It has nothing to do with you. It's between me and Chet, if I'm the older individual. You can keep your nose out of it. And if you stepped in to me and said, hey, look, how dare you talk to him that way? I would be like, excuse me, lady? Who the hell are you to tell him how to talk to me? That is not, and even if you did it in a nice way, I'd still be like, whoa, wait, this is none of your business. He's talking to me. What are you doing? If I don't like the way he's talking to me, I'll say something. And I do have people say, assume that I'm stupid or assume I don't know something. Like I started a job, when I first moved to California, I started a job and I was talking to these Hispanic women in my department and she was saying something. One of them was from Mexico and she was like, I think she referred to Chihuahua in Mexico. And she's like, it's a province. A province is like a state. I'm like, yeah, I know what a province is. It was that simple. She assumed I didn't know something. So she wanted to make sure that it was clear to me because I'm, stupid uneducated American. And I very simply explained to her, yeah, I know what this is. You don't need to tell me. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna check and submit. You ready for the right answer? Say something. Okay, so we'll submit that. That's right. How did I know? How did I know? It's just so stupid. Although ideally a senior level employee should speak up first, Pretty should still speak up and trust she'll be supported. No, Pretty should shut her freaking mouth and learn the ropes first. So stupid. All right, now we have a little video of a woman admitting that she made mistakes in the words that she was using out there in America where we have freedom of speech and are allowed to say whatever we want, basically. So, yeah, this is going to be fun, I'm sure.
I grew up in a very small community, one that may have not been the most inclusive, especially when it comes to language.
Well, she's clearly a minority, and speaking North American English. So, what did she grow up in an all Asian community here in North America? This doesn't make any sense.
And I remember going off to college for the first time. I was making a joke and I used the word retarded. And I remember someone stopping in their tracks and telling me that they didn't appreciate the language that I used, especially since they had a family member who identified as having different abilities.
Really? Yeah, family member with different abilities. So, was that family member there to hear this? Is this word the R word? Is it like the official title of this family member? Is it the greatest compliment you give to this family member? And therefore, subsequently, when you're using it as a derogative term, it's insulting to your family member. Is it somehow, in some way, going to hurt this person who is differently abled? Ridiculous. And I told this story before, but when I was in junior high school, we had homeroom it was mixed with the mentally disabled children. And I was talking to one of them one day, and I said, you're the R word. And he's like, I'm what? I was like, you're mentally R word. Can't say it on YouTube. Sorry, but And then he's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, you don't know what that is? And then another student walked up who wasn't differently abled. And I was like, he doesn't know what being mentally R word is. And he's like, and the student was like, oh, it means you're like slow. And then that student was like, oh yeah, I'm slow. They don't even know what this means. Come on. The only people this bothers is stupid people who think that they need to be progressive and protect everybody from nothing. They be a rebel without a cause, because all the causes have been solved already. Every problem has been solved.
And that it was a really hurtful word. And I think it was a moment where I had to really put myself and my pride aside to really listen and engage and understand why it was hurtful, what impact it has on the community, and what I could do moving forward. It wasn't enough to apologize for it, but to make the decision that wasn't a word that I was going to use in my language again.
Notice all of the progressive language she used in that. I'm not going to subject you to any more of it. All right, so I finished the garbage harassment training from my work that my work requires me to do, which is incredibly racist, by the way. So they have these little skits, these little videos of examples of being inappropriate. In every one of the little videos, the bad guy is always a white person. Wow. You guys know what you're talking about. It's okay to have the white guy be the bad guy, but no, all the other people are like the freaking hero. If they're not white, they're the hero. It's so ridiculous. Or they're the victim of the evil white person, one of the two. But I wanted to look at one of the individuals here who is cited as creating this course, and that is Elizabeth Owens Bile. I'm assuming you pronounce it bile because she's filled with bile. I'm sure she's just bile incarnate. Anyway, Elizabeth Bile is a subject matter expert on preventing harassment and discrimination, promoting ethical conduct, and creating positive workplace cultures for Everfi, an education technology company. She previously served as the general counsel and chief ethics officer of the Society of Human Resource Management, legal advisor to the vice chair of the EEOC, and an employment attorney at the global law firm. Now that stuff is important right there. She was advisor to the vice chair of the EEOC and an employment attorney at the global law firm. So she's a lawyer that they have helping put this stuff together. Those two things are impressive. Everything else that they set up here is, okay, so what? You did something. You had a job. Good job. I've had plenty of them. Elizabeth has provided training for investigators. Doesn't mean anything. HR professionals, doesn't mean anything, and attorneys on complex workplace issues. And her work has been cited in several news outlets, including, okay, now this is the important part, National Public Radio, the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Times. The super lefty woke tards who think they know everything about the world, but actually are lying and dishonest and incredibly biased towards the progressive side of the spectrum. So in other words, we can just ignore everything that she contributed to this little project. But it's so ridiculous, this harassment stuff. These people think that they know what's best. Oh, we know what's best. It's okay to have the white people be the bad guys in every scenario in our little training exercise here. Nobody will notice. If I felt like I wouldn't get laughed out of a courtroom if I brought this up to an attorney, then I would definitely be in contact with some attorneys right now and be putting my employer on blast, because this is ridiculous. Anyway, thanks for watching. I do appreciate everybody stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.